Welcome. In this tutorial we are going to continue list. So next topic is list operation or list function. So as we have explained earlier, list is a mutable data structure. So any method or a function applied on a list object will take effect on that particular object. Comparing with the immutable data structures such as string, as we saw earlier, when applying function on a string object, it returns a new string object instead of modifying that particular object, and that memory address of that particular returned object we were storing in a particular variable in order to take effect on the particular object. In contrast with string, here for the mutable data type we will just invoke function, it will modify that particular object. No need to return a new object here, it will not return a new object, and we don't need to modify variable reference. So whenever we will modify a list object, that object will remain same but its value will be modified. So let's begin with the first operation or first function, which is append. Append adds a given element or object to the end of the list. Okay, so if we have a flower list and if we want to append this string or this flower at the end of the list, we will write flower.append and here the string. Okay, so as you can see here, given element is appended at the end of the list. Next method is insert. It takes two arguments. First is an index at which we want to insert element, and next argument is element itself. Okay, so in this flower list we want to insert at position 1. So this is 0, this is 1 position. So here we want to insert this flower. Okay, so if we execute it, as you can see, it is inserted at position 1. Okay, if you want to insert more than one element at a particular index, we can do it with the slice. Okay, so here we have more flowers in list and we want to insert all the elements of list at index 2. So 0, 1 and 2. Here we want to insert all these elements. So we will write slice of beginning from 2 ending at 2. So it will select this location and given list each element will be inserted here. So let's see the output. As you can see here, after at position 2 all the elements of given list is inserted and all other elements are shifted. Next method is remove. It takes one argument, the element itself we want to remove. Okay, so if we want to remove particular element, we will write flower.remove. So it will remove that element. Okay, and if we provide an element which does not exist inside list, it will raise value error. Okay, so this element does not exist in list, and if we try to remove it, it will say that X is given element is not in the list. So list may contain duplicate element. Okay, so if the given element is repeated multiple times, remove will only remove the first occurrence of given element. So here, as we can see, this element is repeating 3 times. So whenever we will invoke remove method, it will remove only first occurrence. As you can see, only first occurrence is removed and remaining 2 occurrence remains same. Next is using del, delete method, to remove particular element on the index. Now we don't know what element is exactly stored at the particular index, but we want to delete by the index. Okay, remove will remove based on value. Now delete and given variable with index, it will remove a particular element at a given index. So 0, 1 and 2. So it should remove this element from the list. As we can see, delete removes the element at a given index. Next is we can also remove multiple element given in a slice. Okay, so same way we have removed single element, we can also pass slice of a list. Okay, and that it will remove that given slice. Okay, so for this slice it will select from 1 up to 3. So 1 and 2, these two elements will be removed. As you can see, selected slice elements get removed. Same way, if you don't want to delete, we can assign an empty list to the given slice. It will also remove the elements. Okay, so same way, if you want to remove this element by replacing empty list, it will produce same result. Okay, but using this is advised. Okay, this is a recommended way to use it instead of using this. Next method is count. It will return number of times a given element in a list. So if we have repeated element and we want to count number of occurrences inside the list, we can give flowers dot count and given element for which we want to count the occurrences. So as we can see here, element is repeating 3 times. So if the given element is not inside list, it will return 0. It will not raise any error. Okay. Next method is extend. It takes any iterable as an argument and it will append all the elements of a given iterable at the end of the list. Okay, so if we have more flowers and we want to append it here, you can write flowers dot extend some more flowers. So as we can see, after this, elements of a more flowers are appended here. Okay, and one thing to notice is here, if we take ID before and after performing extend, as we can see here, ID remains same, which means we are appending on a same object. Okay, it is not returning or a new flowers object. So same object is modified and extended the given list. Okay, so same way extend, we can use operator plus. So if we use the shorthand assignment flower plus equal to more flowers, it will perform the same operation. As you can see, it will extend more flowers to the end of the list, and if we see the reference, reference remains the same. Okay, so both shorthand plus and extend perform similar operation. But if we don't use shorthand operator and if we write like this, flowers equal to flowers plus more flowers, it will return a new list object which contains element appended or combined in a given order. Okay, so if we take id on same variable before and after performing operation, it will be different. As we can see here, both IDs are different because this operation returns a new list object, combining the element of both given object in their given order. Okay. Now we will see what will happen if we are assigning a given list variable. So here we have created flowers list. Okay, and when we are assigning that flower variable to a new variable coffee flowers, what happens here? So it will just copy the reference which is stored by the flowers variable to the copy flowers variable. It will not create a new list object. Okay, so both variable flowers and copy flowers are pointing to the same list object inside the memory. Okay, by assigning this, it will not create a new list object. Okay, so performing any operation on any of two variables, it will modify the same object. Okay, so if we are appending this flowers object, a new flower, and if we print the both list, as because it is pointing to the same object inside the memory, both of the list or the both of the variable which is pointing to the list will contain newly added element. So let's execute it. As we can see here, it is appended to the end of the list. Okay, and as we can see here, both the variables are pointing to the same object in the memory. So keep that in mind when assigning a variable holding the list object or any mutable object, just copies the memory reference. As because it is a mutable data type, modifying or performing operation on any of the variable will modify the particular object, which will be the changes made to that object will be reflect to the another variable. So we are not creating a new object. For immutable data type, we were not worried because whichever operation we are performing on a string object, it was not modifying that particular object. So assigning variable to a new variable for immutable data type does not create a problem. But whenever you are assigning a mutable object, you need to keep that in mind. You are not creating a copy of it. So whatever operation performed on any of the variable will be visible to the another variable, because inside memory it is pointing to the same list object. Okay, so next method is pop. It takes one optional argument, index. If that optional argument is not given, it returns and removes last element of a list. So this is the list, and if you apply flowers.pop, it should remove this element from the list and return the same element. As we can see, this element is removed and written here, and this is the list after pop operation. If index is given, it will remove that element at a given index and return that particular element. So if we are popping the 0th element, so this is the first element, it will remove it and return it. As we can see, first element is removed. And if we removed at index 3, so currently list is holding this object. Okay, so element at position 3 is this. it will get removed and written here. So this is the list after pop operation. Next method is index. It takes one argument, which is element, and returns the index for the given element. Okay, so if we want to search for this string object or this flower, so we will write flowers.index, and inside it we will give the element which we want to search. So it will return the index at which the given element is inside the list. Okay, so let's execute it. As we can see, Lily is at index 3. So 0, 1, 2 and 3. Okay, that this is how we can trace that it is index at 3. So if the given element is repeating multiple times, it will return index of first occurrence of a given element. Okay, so this is repeating 2 times, it will return index 1 if we search for index method. Okay, and if the given element is not inside the list, it will raise value error. As you can see here, it will print a given element is not inside the list. Next method is sort. It takes 2 arguments which are optional, key and reverse. So sort method will sort the elements of a given list in ascending order by default. Okay, so we will sort the list of flowers by writing flowers.sort. So as you can see, the flower is sorted. Okay, and here we are not even assigning again to the variable, because whatever function we will invoke, it will directly modify that particular list object pointed by the given variable. So we are not assigning because it is mutable data type. Okay, next we will pass optional argument key. Okay, so we have sorted the list element based on their values by comparing their ASCII value of a character. So it will compare ASCII value of character and it will sort element likewise. But if you want to sort a given list in other manner, so we can provide any callable function which will return a new element by transforming this elements of list. So based on return element, it will sort. So here we know len method. Len is a callable method. It takes one argument. So we will provide one argument, which it means that for each element individually be passed to the len method, the callable which is passed as the key argument. So that callable must return a value. So len method returns the length of object. Okay, so that return object for each element is sorted, and according to that return value, the particular elements are sorted. Okay, so here we can also write our custom function. Based on that, it will, based on the return value of from that function, it will sort the element of a list. So as we can see here, we have provided callable, but callable must accept one argument, because at each element we are taking only passing one element, and it must return single value which should be comparable. Okay, so here we have provided such callable is a len. So if we execute it, as we can see, it will sort elements of string in ascending order of a length of a given string. So first it is length 4 strings, then 5 and increasing. Okay. Same way we can apply other functions, such as if we want to sort the given list of string in case insensitive manner, then we can provide key as a str.lower. Lower is a callable function. So as we have stored as a element, each element is a list element, so we are providing key as a function of a string object. Okay, if the elements are different here, we cannot provide the function of a string object. Okay, so as we have symmetric element, or all the elements are string, we can provide any method of string here, which will take one value and return a one value. Okay, so here lower will return a lowercase string, so it will perform sort operation on a case insensitive manner. Okay, so if we have case capital and small letter string, so we can sort it in a case insensitive manner. As you can see here, both strings are sorted as per their given value. Now we can change the order of a sort using reverse parameter. So if we pass as a reverse as a true, it will sort in a descending order. So by default, as we saw here, it is given as a false value, which will sort in a ascending manner. Okay, so now we will sort the same in a descending manner. Okay, so as we can see, the list is sorted in a descending order. Next topic is sorting two-dimensional list. So if we invoke sort operation, it will also perform comparison of 2D list. But how it will perform? First it will check first element with the elements of a other list. Okay, and then after, if both the element of a first element of a inside list are same, then and then it will perform comparison on a second element. Okay, so let's sort it and see the output. As you can see here, it will perform sorting first on a based on first element first, and if they are similar, then it will go for the second element, and so on. Now if we have a two-dimensional string which is containing multiple types of data type, such as this is a student list, so it is a list of lists, and inside list of students list, each list contains data for a single student. Okay, now if we want to sort a particular list based on position of a sub list, okay, so now we have students, but it is not sorted in a roll number manner, and we want to sort it by the roll number of a students. So we have to write a custom function which takes argument as a list and returns the element at given index, or we can use item getter function which is built inside operator module. So it takes iterator as a argument and returns the element at a particular index. So it will sort, or it will perform sort operation based on the return value instead of this, comparing from first element. So by default it will sort this list based on string first, and then it will go for the roll number. So let's first sort using this. As we can see here, after sorting this, because we are sorting based on index 1 here, as we can see, it is sorting the given two-dimensional list according to the first position of a sublist. Same way, if you don't want to use this, you can write simple function. So we will write simple function which takes student, which is a list, as an argument and returns a first index element. Okay. So if we print, so if we invoke it here, the same way we will provide by roll number, and if we print it, as you can see, it will perform same operation. We will define student list again, and if we execute sort function again, as we can see, earlier it was out of order by roll number, and after executing our given function which returns the indexed one element from given list as key, it will sort given 2D list according to the roll number, which is the indexed one element in sublist of a given list. Next function is copy function, which returns the shallow copy of a given list. So what is shallow copy? Shallow copy is a copying, creating. By copying, we are creating a new list object which will just copy the references from the original list. As we have explained earlier, when creating a list object with the elements such as this string elements, it will create this string object and it will just store the reference or the memory address of this string object inside the list object, instead of actually storing that object. Okay. So when we are copying this list, we are creating a new list object which will copy all the memory address from original list. So if we are modifying a copy of a list for immutable data type such as string, so this is a list which is a mutable data type holding strings which are immutable data type. So when we are dealing with immutable data type inside list, if we are removing one of the element from the list, copy list, it will not affect the original list. So if we execute it here, as we can see, after removing lotus from copy flowers, it will not remove it from original list. So what it will do is will only remove a memory reference which is stored at list copy flower index 0. It will not affect list which is pointed by flowers. But that thing completely changes when our list is holding mutable data type such as list. So we will create list of lists. So we have 3 flowers list, and if we are creating a list out of 3 lists, we are having a data structure which is mutable data type inside mutable data type. So if we are creating copy of those mutable data type as per the definition of shallow copy, it will just copy the memory address which is pointed by the original list. So if we are copying a flower list, it will just copy the reference to this mutable object. So when we are modifying those mutable object in copy flower list, as the memory address is same, it will affect the same list object which is pointed by the two list, flower list and copy list. So if we print both list after removing one element from any of the list, it will affect both list. As we can see, rose is removed from the both list. Why? Because when creating a copy, we are not actually creating copy of an original object or original list object in this case, but we are just copying the reference. So both are pointing the same reference, same object in the memory. So if it is modified by one of the variable, that changes will be visible by the other variable. Okay, so when we are dealing with the mutable data type inside list, we should keep in mind with copy. So this is the same way. If you want to create a shallow copy without using copy function, we can use with slice function also. So this is the list object, and if we want to create a copy of the list or shallow copy of the list, we will write a slice beginning to end for the given list variable. So it will create shallow copy of a given list, as we can see here. Okay, so now what if we want to create copy of inner object also, instead of just copying the memory address of a given object? So for that method is deep copy. Deep copy is a method of a copy module which takes a given iterable which containing multiple object which may contain mutable or immutable object. It will create a deep copy of a given iterable. So same list of lists which containing 3 lists inside a single list of flowers, and if we are creating a deep copy, it will create a copy of each individual lists inside the given list. So modifying the copy of a given original list does not affect the original list. So as we can see here, we are copying the list, deep copy, and we are modifying the copy of a list. So it should not affect the original list. So as you can see here, this is our original list which containing rows before applying remove function on copy list. So after removing, as we can see, our original list remains same, but our copy list is missing the rows string from the first list, because when we are copying it, we are not creating the copy of a memory address. Instead we have copying, or we have constructed new list object from existing lists. Okay, so whenever we want to separate out the mutable data type while creating 2 separate lists, deep copy must be used instead of shallow copy. Otherwise what will happen, the copy of a list is modified, that changes are also modified to the original list. So if you want to maintain separation between the copy list and the original list, you must use deep copy. And while you using deep copy, you should also consider the copying performance or the system load it will create depending on the length of the given list. Next function is reverse. It reverses the elements of a given list. So if we have given a flowers list and if we invoke reverse operation on it, it will reverse the order of elements. Same way we can reverse with the slice by selecting from beginning to end, and we are iterating in reverse direction with given -1 as a step. It will create a shallow copy of this list in a reverse direction. As we can see, we have reversed the direction or reverse the element. Next method is clear. It removes the all element from the list. So we have list and we are invoking clear function. After invoking, the list is empty. Same way we can empty the list using slice function. Slice beginning to end, and we are assigning it to the empty list, which will make list empty. Next topic is creating string out of list. So we have seen the join function of a string which takes iterable as an argument, and which it will join each element of a given iterable strings using the given separator. So join will, if we have a list of strings, it will join each string element of a list using given character. So ch.join, it will return a single list combining all of the strings of a given list, combining using given string. Next is constructing list from a string which contains substrings separated by a specific character. So we will split the string which will return list of strings separated by a given separator. As we can see here, list is constructed from a single string. Now next topic is what happens if we are assigning a list variable to a new variable. Until now we have seen shallow copy and deep copy. So both of them were creating a new list object. But what happens if we assign a variable to a variable? So it will only copy reference to this list object. Earlier, what shallow copy was doing, it was creating a new list object. Inside it, it was copying the memory address of the elements, and deep copy creates the new list and creates the copy of elements also. And when we are assigning the variable to a new variable, it will only copy whatever the reference to a list which is pointed by that variable. So even while assigning it, we are not even copying, or we are not creating a new list object. We are just copying the memory address of that particular list. Okay. And if we assign that original variable to a different reference or a different object such as none, then what happens? Then that particular variable will point to the different object, but the new variable will still point to the original list object. Okay. So we will see slides for that. Okay. So we are creating a list object first inside the memory, and we are assigning that reference or the memory address into the flowers variable. Okay, so now flowers variable will be pointing to the list object inside memory. Now we are creating new variable copy flowers and assigning the memory reference or memory address of a flowers variable. So it will copy the reference only. So after copying that reference, both variable will point to the same list object inside memory, as you can see here. And when you are assigning the flowers to different object inside the memory, in this case we are assigning to the none, as we can see, copying flowers still holds the address for the list object, which is original list object, which were created and stored when we are created flowers variable. Okay, so when we are changing the reference, its reference counts also decremented. So when we are assigning this to the copy flowers, its reference counts gets incremented. Okay, so if we execute it, as we can see, after changing it to the none, still our copy flowers variable is pointing to our original list object. Now next topic is passing a mutable data type as a functional argument. So we have numbers list, which is a mutable data type, and if we are passing it as a functional argument, we are just copying the memory address. Okay, as it is a mutable data type, if we are modifying a list or modifying the mutable object inside a function, its effect will be affected to the original object, which is pointed by a variable which is outside of that function. Okay, generally we define or we implement a function such that whatever the calculation is made remains inside the local variable, and whatever the result is written by the return function, it will not modify any global variable or the variable outside of this function scope. But when we are passing a mutable data type, it will by default modify the given reference if we are not taken care. Okay, so by default, as we can see here, we are calling the multiply function and we are passing the list object as it is. So after multiplying each variable with given number, in this case 5, it will return the result object. Okay, so here passing it, we are copying just memory address of this object to this variable, and it is modifying it and returning the object. So it will performing operation on this object because we are not creating any copy. So as we can see the result, after modifying it, we are returning the list. And after invoking function, if we are printing the same list, it will contain element different from the original list. So we have modified each element. Okay, this is not how it should be implemented. So what we can do to avoid such modification? So first thing we can do is we can create a shallow copy of mutable data type when we are passing it to the function. So as we can see here, we are not modifying function, we are just creating a shallow copy using this, and if we are passing it, as we can see here, the original list, so we have not declared it again, so we will declare it again. Okay, as because we have modified here. And if we are passing a copy of a list using slice function, as you can see here, after calling the function, original list remains the same. Okay, because we are creating a new list here and passing the memory address of new list to the function which is modifying the list and returning the same list. Same way we can create a copy, shallow copy, using list constructor. Okay, so again we will declare and execute it. As we can see, the list constructor is also creating a shallow copy of a given list when we are calling the function. So in this scenario, as we can see, we have to create list copy each time when we are creating or we are calling the function. So this is not an optimal design. So we need to construct the same function, multiply function, such that when we are passing a mutable data type, inside it we are creating a local variable and we are creating copy of given mutable data type depending on type of mutable. So here we know that we are passing it only one dimensional immutable data type inside the list. So we are only creating shallow copy of the given list, and for that copy we are performing an operation on that list, copy of the list, and we are returning the copy of the list inside the function. So when we are passing original list without creating copy, it should not modify the original list. So as we can see here, original copy is left as it is because we are creating copy inside the function each time it is called. So it will create it locally and it will be returned the local copy of a list created inside the function. Same function we can write using list comprehension. So list comprehension, as we know, it will always return a new list from the given list. So we are iterating from for the given list here, and we are returning a list which is containing element. Each element is multiplied by given number. So first we will define the function, and if we execute and if we call the same function, as we can see here, it is performing the same. Now next topic is passing a list as a default parameter of a function. So as we can see here, fList is a default parameter which is assigning an empty list or a list constructor. So what we are expecting here is add flower will add a given flower to a given list. Okay, and if this list is not given, it will create a new list and assign the or add a given flower to the empty list. But as we saw in function section, that the default argument is evaluated only once when the function is loaded inside the memory. So in that example, we have assigned a variable value which was declared as a global variable here and assigned it to here, and if later stage global variable was modified, so the variable value or global variable value, current value of a global variable, is not evaluated when we are calling the functions. For the same, if we are assigning a list constructor, it will get only evaluated once when it is assigned. Okay, so when we are calling this function with the given value with the given list, it will work fine because we are providing a different list which will be replaced by the default parameter. Okay, so it will add given element to the list. But if we are not providing any list argument as a second parameter, it will use by default evaluated list constructor or the list object, which will be only evaluated once. So it will append given variable when to the same list when it is called multiple times. So we are calling here 3 times, okay, the same function here, okay. So this list function is not evaluated each time when it is called. So we are appending different parameters to the same list object. So it will grow list object each time when the function is called, instead of we were expecting to create a list object when the function is called, okay. So keep that in mind. Default parameter of function, it gets evaluated only when the function is loaded, not while each time when it is get called, okay. So instead of that, we can design function differently. Instead of that, we can check the value which is passed to the given parameter, and based on that we can take actions, okay. Next topic is list operators. First is a equals to operator, which evaluates or compares the value of elements of a two list. So if we have two lists, it will compare each element's value. If all the elements are equal to each other at their respective position, it will return true. So as we can see, flowers 1 is equal to flowers 2, and flowers 1 is not equal to flower 2, it is false. Same way, it is not equal to is inverse of it. If any of the element is different, it will return true. As we can see, flower 1 is not equal to flowers 3. Next is identity operator. So as we have also explained earlier, identity operator will compare the memory location or the memory address which is pointed by the given variable instead of the value. So here we are creating flowers 1 and flowers 2. Both of are constructing a list object, and both list object is having same value. Despite of having same value, both of are constructing different list object, okay. So both of this variable will have different memory location, and this third variable flowers 3, we are copying just memory address which is pointed by flowers 1. So both of this will point to the same object is inside the memory. So if we execute is operator on them, as we can see here, flowers 1 and flower 2 is not the same, because both variable are pointing to the different object inside the memory. Although they are having same values, they are not the same object inside the memory. And if we are copying it or we are assigning it, as we can see, it is returning true because both variable are pointing to the same object inside the memory. So this is the proof that flowers 1 and flowers 2 variable are pointing to two different list object inside memory, because both are holding different memory location, and flowers 1 and flowers 3 are pointing to the same object inside the memory because they have ID same. Next topic is deleting the original list variable after assigning it to the different variable. So here we are declaring a list and we are assigning to the different variable, and after assigning it we are deleting the original flowers variable. And if we try to print it, what will happen? So when we are deleting it, we are just decrementing the reference counter of that object by 1 and deleting the variable from the memory, but we are not deleting original object. Why? Because here if when we are assigning it, its reference counter will be incremented to 2, and while we are deleting this, it will delete the flowers variable 1, but after decrementing the reference count, it will still hold one reference count, which is pointed by flowers variable 2. So when we are printing it, it will print the same list object. Okay, it will not delete it. So this delete works on based on reference count, not by deleting a variable. So you need to keep that in mind. Deleting a variable does not delete the original object pointed by that variable inside the memory. It will only delete the variable, okay, which is holding just the memory address of a object inside the memory. Next is comparison operators: less than, greater than, less than or equal to, and greater than or equal to. Okay, so it will compare element by element inside the list, and if it is a string element, which is a sequence of characters, so it will also perform character by character sequence comparison until it found the different one. Okay, so let's compare it. So as you can see here, up to here, both list contain the same element. So here, as we can see, these two characters are different. So if we compare the ordinal value of two character, we know that J is having greater ordinal value than C. So it will return flower 1 is greater than flower 2. Okay, same for greater than or equal to. Now if we have a numeric list, it is straightforward. Compare the value until the different value is found. As you can see, list 1 is greater than list 2. Now if we have a nested list or two-dimensional list, it will also perform the operator comparison recursively inside the inner list also. So as we can see here, first element is same. So in second list, it contains 3 elements, and at index 2 of inner list, the element is different, which will make list 2 greater than list 1. So if we compare it, as we can see here, L1 is less than L2. It is true. Okay. So it is also performing comparison for a nested list also. So same can be applied to the float values also. Now we will see the built-in functions which are exclusive to the numeric values, such as int, float, inside the list. So list is containing only int or the float value. We can use the following built-in function. So first one is a min, which will return the minimum element from a given list. So as you can see, it is 12. Same way, max will return maximum value, which is 87. Sum will return the sum of each element of a given list. As we can see here, 401 is a sum of all element. Next is a sorted. So this is a built-in function, sorted. Earlier we saw list function, so L1 dot sort. So it was also taking 2 optional parameter. Here also those 2 parameter having same meaning. Instead of it is taking iterable as a third different argument, which is we will provide the list. So for this built-in function, we can sort any iterable, okay, instead of just sorting the list. Okay, and each and semantics of both the parameters key and reverse remains the same as we saw for the sort. Okay, so sorted will print the given list in a sorted manner. So this sorted method also works for other data type also. Okay, any, it will return true if any of item is evaluated as a true. So earlier we saw the any other value than 0 is evaluated to true for the integer. Okay, and if it is providing 0, it will be evaluated to false. So for any L2 will return false, and all is reversed from that. It returns true if all of the given items are true. So all items are non-zero, it will return true, and any of the item is 0, then it will return false, as we can see here. Now next module related to this list is a bisect module, which provides an interface to maintain list sorted after the insertion of a new element of a list. So we have sorted the list using the sort function. Now we want to insert a new element such that it maintain the order of a given list sorted. So for that, bisect module provides the function. So we will see the function one by one. So first function is bisect left. It takes 4 arguments, out of which 2 is mandatory. First one is a list as A, and second argument is a X, which is the element we want to insert inside the list in a sorted manner, and high and low if we want to create or we want to insert in the slice of a given list. Okay, so it is a starting point and ending point of a given list, which is by default 0, and high is a len of A. Okay, so it will return a position at which the given element should be inserted. So if you try to insert 15 in the L1, its position should be here, which is 0, 0, 1, 2 and 3. So it should return 3. So if we execute it, as you can see, it is returning the insertion position of a new element inside a sorted list. So what if we have a duplicate element? So it will return insertion position before any existing element. So if we have here 15, so it will return 0, 1, 2 and 3. Okay, it will not return 4. Okay, as you can see here, it will still return 3. Now if we want to insert the element at a given position, we can write it like this: L1.insert, which will insert a given element at a position. So position is written by the bisect left method. Okay, so if we try to insert it, as we can see here, it is inserted at position 3. Okay, bisect right, same as bisect left, but it will, in case of existing element with the given same value, it will return insertion point after the given value. So same list, as we can see, this is bisect right, bisect left. If we calculated, it will returning true 3 value. So 0, 1, 2 and 3 for the existing element, but it for bisect right, it will return insertion value as a 4. So we'll calculate for both value. So as we can see, it is returning 4. Okay, so that is the difference between bisect left and right. Now next method is insert left, which will insert the given element X inside the list A such that the list remains in a sorted. So it will insert given element in a sorted manner. So insert left L1 and given element, it will insert at the position which is sorted for the given list. So same as insert left, insert right will work same as that, but in case of duplicate element, it will insert the new element right of the existing element, as we saw for the bisect left. So if we have existing element 16 here, it will insert new element 16 after the 16 element. Okay, so there is no way to differentiate in here, but it will insert after the 16 element, and for by insert left, its insertion position will be before this. Okay, now next topic is byte string to list conversion. So if we have a byte string and we pass it as a list constructor, it will construct the list which is containing ordinal value for each of the character of a given byte string. So if we execute it, as you can see here, each element of a given list is an ordinal of each character of a byte string. Next topic is using list as a stack. So stack have two operations, push and pop. We will simulate it using list method, append and pop. So as we know, so this is existing stack, so we know that append will, so we will add at one end, and from that end we will remove the object. So appending will append to the end of the list, and pop, as we know, it will removes and return the last element of a given list. So this two function will simulate the push and pop function of a stack. So as we can see here, after pushing 10, it is added at the end of it, and if we are popping it, popping the any element, it will pop the last element which is inserted. It is 10. If we are again popping, it will return and remove the sixth element. So after performing all operation, this is the given stack. Same way we can use list as a queue. So enqueue will append given element to the end of the list, and dequeue will remove the element from the beginning of the list. Okay, so we will simulate again some enqueue and dequeue operation using this function. So as we can see, if we are removing function dequeuing, it is removing from the front. So this is the list after it, and if you are adding any new element, it will append to the end of the list. As you can see, again dequeue will remove from the front of the list, and enqueuing will append the given element to the end of the list. So that brings us to end of the video.